Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Andrew Meatrich. I used to work inside a state-run media outlet, saw how stories were twisted to fit the narrative, and I walked away. Now I'm independent, I speak freely, and I tell you what really matters. We've got some absolutely critical dispatches today that truly deserve your undivided attention. Let's kick things off with some interesting developments right here in the United States, where the America First doctrine, it seems, continues to shape policy. We're hearing reports that the United States is actually curtailing shipments of certain armaments to Europe, prioritizing its own domestic needs. The Pentagon has apparently put together a list of what they deem scarce armaments and has begun to restrict exports. This includes, crucially, Patriot missile systems, which Washington has decided to retain specifically for its own requirements. Now, experts are suggesting that the current administration is focusing on strengthening its military reserves and preparing for a potential conflict, specifically with China, even if that comes at the expense of its allies. And let's be clear, it does come at the expense of allies. We're also seeing the Pentagon reportedly cease aid to the Baltic states. The message here seems singular, doesn't it? America first, and nothing else truly registers. What's truly fascinating is the lengthy conversation that reportedly took place between President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Following this call, the former president particularly emphasized that China had, quote, fully approved the TikTok deal. According to President Donald Trump, a range of topics were discussed during the conversation, including Russia, Ukraine, and the Gaza Strip. And the American president, in the end, publicly declared that he had an excellent phone call with the Chinese leader and was very pleased with how it went. Now, according to the American president, the United States and China supposedly have very good relations. We'll have to wait and see what else comes to light down the road. But what seems clear, at least for now, is that a confrontation with China isn't on the horizon for the coming years. If you find this kind of deep dive valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and maybe even consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support makes all this independent analysis possible. Now, shifting our gaze across the Atlantic, a fresh and deeply concerning incident has rocked Europe. We've unfortunately seen new disruptions plaguing airports, which, as you can imagine, threw countless travelers into both confusion and a state of panic. Just last night, a cyberattack struck, effectively paralyzing operations. The most significant disruption centered on the passenger registration system. This incident, we're being told, was linked to a cyberattack targeting the American company Collin Aerospace, which provides services to airports all across Europe. The ripple effect was immediate and severe. Berlin Airport, for instance, had to resort to manual data processing, which led to sprawling queues, extensive delays, and a slew of cancelled flights. While Berlin Airport itself wasn't the direct target of the attack, passengers certainly bore the full brunt of its negative consequences. Registrations and boardings were handled manually, stretching wait times into agonizing hours. And let me tell you, a similar situation unfolded in Brussels, where authorities also issued warnings about significant disruptions and advised passengers to arrive well in advance. Meanwhile, London's Heathrow Airport also reported issues, though strangely, they labelled their problems as a technical glitch. The service provider, whose systems are integral to many European aviation hubs, is currently scrambling to restore functionality. Reports from Brussels suggest that until a solution is found, we should brace ourselves for continued delays and cancellations. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on this, waiting to hear the full story once systems are fully restored. But that's not all from Germany. The country has also seen widespread raids targeting undocumented workers in the food service sector. Thousands of German customs officials were mobilized for inspections across restaurants and hotels. Investigators from the Federal Customs Administration, as part of a nationwide operation, are actively combating undocumented employment, violations of minimum wage laws, and illicit labor practices. Their primary focus has been on businesses that have already been flagged with complaints. As a representative from the Cologne Main Customs Office explained, they receive almost daily reports of businesses exploiting undocumented labor or paying their employees significantly below the minimum wage. We'll learn the overall results of this nationwide crackdown in Germany a little later, so stay tuned. And on a lighter, though still noteworthy note, the highly anticipated Oktoberfest has, as expected, officially opened in the wonderful city of Munich today. Mayor Dieter Reiter, for the third consecutive time, successfully tapped the first barrel of the long-awaited brew with exemplary precision. Perhaps he's been practicing quite a bit. Anything is possible, right? Thousands of people had been eagerly awaiting this moment since the night before, with the earliest visitors gathering at the entrance long before dawn. Many arrived decked out in traditional Bavarian attire, but the gates didn't swing open until 9 a.m., and what followed was a genuine stampede for the prime spots inside the tents. Naturally, by now, those enthusiastic revelers are likely quite exhausted and enjoying a well-deserved rest. If you're enjoying this update, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Germany, it seems, continues to surprise us, not just with celebrations, but also with ongoing scandalous debates and shifts. There's a heated discussion swirling in German media today about a hair salon in the beautiful city of Hanover that has introduced a discount exclusively for women wearing hijabs. The hairdresser offered a 40% discount on Wednesdays, but only for women with covered heads. However, one client without a hijab felt discriminated against and promptly filed a complaint. Now, legal experts are divided on their assessments. An employment law expert suggests that such a measure could be justified if the business has valid reasons, as the law does allow for specific discounts to attract a particular target group. The salon owner himself claims to be shocked by the accusations, emphasizing that he didn't intend to offend anyone. But as it turns out, some people are indeed taking serious offense. Moving to Britain, another contentious debate is brewing. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, is reportedly preparing to announce plans to introduce digital identity cards for everyone residing in the country, without exception. The official justification for this move has also been stated. It's necessary to bring order to the immigration and asylum system, but critics are already sounding the alarm, decrying it as nothing short of a dystopian proposal. The idea is that everyone would have a digital ID card, which could be required for things like employment or renting housing and so on. What's particularly interesting is that the government is assuring everyone that this will also help combat irregular migration. Critics, as expected, are quick to retort, arguing that it won't stop the boats carrying irregular migrants, but it will create new problems for ordinary citizens. Human rights advocates are drawing parallels to a failed scheme from the era of Tony Blair, which was ultimately scrapped in 2010, a time, many would argue, when there was greater freedom. So some people rightly see this as a significant step towards total digital control, while others, those who still cling to the notion of benevolent governmental oversight, view it as a tool to simplify access to public services. But the ultimate answer to where this reform will lead, to order or to a looming big brother watching over everyone, we will soon see. Time, as always, will tell. And it's appropriate to add another rather unfortunate piece of news from Ireland. Conor McGregor, one of the most prominent candidates from the Irish populace for the presidency, has withdrawn his candidacy. He announced on social media that after much deliberation and discussions with his family, he is stepping out of the race, stating, "This is a marathon, not a sprint." McGregor also lashed out at Irish democracy, labelling it as fixed and accessible only to candidates approved by the elite. It turns out that to get on the ballot, he needed the support of 20 members of parliament or 4 local councils. Unfortunately, he never secured that support. This, once again, underscores how incredibly challenging it is for someone from the general populace to ascend to power without the endorsement of the ruling elite and the powerful behind-the-scenes players who maintain control. But the fighter insists this isn't the end, but rather the beginning of his political journey. He vows to continue championing Ireland's interests on the global stage. Ireland is set to elect its new president on October 24th. Meanwhile, in France, a coalition of French trade unions, who, as you know, organized significant strikes on September 10th and 18th, has declared that they expect a response from the new Prime Minister, Le Cornu, regarding their demands by September 24th. Otherwise, they will resume their protests. If their demands are rejected, they will immediately set a new date for action. The unions are demanding that the new Prime Minister, Le Cornu, completely abandon the budget proposal that was prepared by his predecessor, François Bayrou. And while all these strikes haven't really changed anything for the better, nor have they had any discernible impact on the government, the French unions are not backing down from their protests, which means, indeed, the saga continues. But we'll have to wait and see how France's new Prime Minister responds. We also learned today that French President Emmanuel Macron announced that during the United Nations General Assembly meeting in New York next Monday, Paris will officially recognize the Palestinian state. It's worth noting immediately that this week, during a visit to Jerusalem, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken characterized any steps toward recognizing a Palestinian state as largely symbolic. We've certainly got a lot to chew on with these latest reports, pointing to some significant shifts and ongoing tensions around the globe. Keep your thoughts coming in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about all of this, and I wish you all the very best until next time.